Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Objective. And today we're going to be talking about abortion, a very hot topic in the news right now, as you probably already know. Please leave a like. Please hit that join button to unlock cool features and support the network. And if you're watching this after it's live, you can hit the super thanks button and leave us a tip. Thank you for your support. Let's meet our co-host today here on the Daily Objective. Sorry, I'm a little bit tired because I woke up crazy early and never fell back asleep today, and also tired of the BS surrounding this issue right now. We've got returning scientist, Cosmo studying cosmetologist, the podcaster and professor Amanda Maxham. Welcome to the show.
Yo, hello. Hello from me and my uterus.
Yeah, good to have a woman's perspective on this. And we've got somebody who does not currently identify as a woman, but might get some more work if he would start. Just putting that out there. It's actor Mark Pellegrino.
What's up, Rucka?
What's happening? So, okay, I was thinking we can talk about abortion in terms of like, it's always a negative. It's always, people always frame it negatively. Like, of course, if you don't allow abortion, like here's the horrific things that'll happen. Or if you do allow abortion, here's how horrific abortion is. But I try to look at look how good life can be if you're able to make your own decisions. And look how much more significant your values as that you've chosen are, like how much more important that is to you versus an accidental pregnancy that you found out about just now that just happened that you want to abort. So like, I think like people need to, they need to look at this from like a positive perspective, like positively living a good life. And then the abortion issue can be evaluated from that perspective. What do you guys, how do you guys are making a face almost like you're confused.
Well, you just told me that I just accidentally got pregnant and I'm going to find out. So
yeah, I didn't want to tell you. I didn't want to tell you like this, but this is a great time.
Sorry, it's a good time to tell me live on YouTube. No problem.
Might as well.
Yeah, I was thinking about abortion today, and it's like it is serious. It's like, oh no, I was like, I don't know if I want to come to the show because it's gonna be a real downer because there's no way to talk about abortion. And then I was like, well, why can't we make jokes about it? Because we make jokes about everything else, even like going to prison can be funny. So I don't know what it is. What is it about abortion? It's partly that like people don't want to talk about it. I don't know. I guess it's a private thing made public. I don't know.
Well, first of all, I think the right has co-opted the positive element of it by claiming that they are for life, and I think that pro-choice has to be. We have to make people understand that choice is life, is the fundamental aspect of life, and so that the pro-choice is actually the side that is striving for the actual living being to fulfill their life and happiness and not make them a sacrificial lamb to this to a pregnancy. But I think the reason it's so hard to talk about is because we have issues defining what a human being is, and we have issues defining when that humanness happens. And a lot of people think that the humanist starts at conception, right? That the blueprint for humanity, for that individual's humanity, is already there, and from conception, even though it doesn't look like a human, it's a developing one, and it needs to develop. Those are circumstances that we live under, and c'est la vie, right? That's nature. Yeah, so the problem is defining what a human being is when humanness begins, and that seems to be the argument that I've been having all day long on social media. What say you guys?
I would say, suppose it is already a human by however we define that term. The fact that it's inside of this adult who needs to carry it in order for it to live. There's no nice way to say it. It's parasitical. If this woman doesn't eat, this fetus doesn't eat. If this woman decides to jump off a bridge, this fetus therefore falls off the bridge. So even if someone were to say, look, this is basically a mini person that deserves a right to life, I would point out, well, if this fetus's development is at odds with the mature life choices of this living adult, then I would say the adult gets to make the, gets to have the final say.
Yeah,
Right.
otherwise it's like a death sentence. It's like a prison sentence. Really, literally, it's like you're a slave to the baby.
By the way, we got $20 from Kiana Pellegrino. Thank you for that. And Theme Master has become a member of the channel. Welcome to the channel. You hit that join button, everybody. Unlock very cool features. So, all right. Sorry, I'm so tired today.
Well, I mean, I think you're right. Under all circumstances, the mother's right to life is the primary one, but it's literally impossible to convince anybody of that. I mean, I think the same thing. As long as it's a part of her, we don't give rights to parts of people. We don't give rights to groups. They belong to individuals, and that means that baby has to go through that transformation, that transformative process where it becomes separated from the mother, what we call it birth. And that's when it has a right to its life. And if the mother still thinks that its life is in conflict with hers, she has to go about separating herself legally from her obligations to that child, through a process, right? Because now it has a right to its life. So she just can't abandon it like a libertarian claims they could.
Yeah, well, some like Rothbard, I think, like certain libertarians.
The ones that I read, the anarchists for sure don't think that if we're consistent with liberty and consistent with property rights and free association, that you are obligated to take care of your children or abide by contracts or any of that.
The claim people make against Ayn Rand actually is true of many anarchists. Which is, they say Rand's philosophy does not address the parent's responsibility to their child. But in fact, Rand's philosophy does. The anarchists, however, might be okay with a parent starving their child, because who are you to tell this parent to produce food and feed this child? You are initiating force. Amanda, were you about to say something?
I was just going to say that you can actually drop a baby off at the fire station right after you have it. So it's not like there isn't an option.
And by that, what do you mean?
I don't know. Never mind. It's just a random thought that popped into my head. I'm tired like you are.
The anti-abortion people, they would say, one of the things they would say was like, you can adopt. There are many people that cannot conceive and they want a baby. You're carrying one. Why don't you just give it to them? Which I mean, brings up a lot of counterpoints. First of all, who are you to tell this person how to spend the next 9 months or however many months of her life? Second of all, in carrying this fetus, she will likely become emotionally attached to this fetus, but you cannot force her to go through that process.
So like a lot of the people talking about this think that this gestation period has absolutely no consequence to the woman's body or her emotional life at all. She could just go through the 9 months, whatever it may do, even if it permanently causes changes to her body that she either aesthetically doesn't like or physically harm her in some way. I mean, this is a real thing. I mean, her life and her future could be changed just by the simple fact that she's pregnant, right?
Oh, yeah, that's the part people skip over. They think like, well, what to do with this baby if it is born? Give it up for adoption or raise it? Just carry it to term. That is a huge, I mean, 9 months or however, like roughly 9 months is a huge commitment. The effect on her body is irreversible, as far as I understand. The pain, the hormones, as well as the actual pain, all of it is enormously committal. It's a wonderful thing if she decides to do it and wants to make, I'm not going to say sacrifice, but wants to go through that pain for the higher value of delivering the child. But to force her to do that is unconscionable. Now, but let me raise that point that people make. And we lost Amanda. Hopefully she was not aborted from the show by our producer. I guess maybe she hung up for some reason or was too upset by her rights being now called into question by the Supreme Court. When this would be good to ask when she is on the show, when you do want to have a kid, right? then pregnancy is kind of like, you do maybe then think of it as a baby when it's really just a tiny bean, right? When it's growing into a little mini something or another, you do start to think of it as a baby. You do feel like you love it, you talk to it and all of that. So they would say, of course it's a baby, you know, like they would tell us we're the ones evading. They would say we're the ones playing games and being rationalistic, if that word were in their vocabulary, if they could spell words that big. They would say like we're the ones, evading because we're not confronting this very real thing that people feel when they're pregnant and they want to be pregnant. They get very emotionally attached to this fetus. So it is, they would say, a baby. And you say?
Well, to them it is, and for them it's something that they value on that level, and more power to you.
Yeah.
What else can you say? I'm trying to think of a way of putting something like that would be palatable to somebody on the quote unquote pro-life side, who doesn't buy doesn't buy what we're selling. You know what I mean? And I haven't found a way yet to get through to a person like that.
I have a hint. I think I know the way. But first, Amanda told us in the chat before she left, sorry, I gotta run. Well, she has that right, I believe.
Yes, she does.
Run for president, that is, I hope. Run for office. Jonathan Honig with $4.99 says this issue is basically my litmus test for morality.
Well, apparently it was Rand's litmus test too, right? That's the reason she didn't support Ronald Reagan when he ran for president, because she felt, this is a fundamental, you get a fundamental sense of what a person values when they claim to be pro or anti-abortion.
Yeah, and Rand also saw the philosophical implications so clearly whenever there would be a political movement or political candidate. To Rand, it's all about like, what does this imply? I think that's what she thought. What does this say about the philosophical direction that we're moving? So if Reagan is bringing religion into the Republican Party and he's anti-abortion, then that spells disaster ahead. And she was not wrong, but we still have we're on the 11th hour, I suppose, but the battle is not yet over. Marilyn with $4, thank you. Regina with €2, thank you. Then Phil with £10 says, isn't this all just a complete misintegration of the Bill of Rights and the intention of the founding fathers?
I mean, I don't know how, in what respect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a lot I don't know about the Bill of Rights and the intention of the founding fathers. I'm more concerned with the rights of man and woman. I
think they were as well. I don't think they were considering the unborn as possessing rights. I think when they wrote those documents, it was to protect individuals, living individuals, existing individuals from the state.
Right. And I think abortion was not that big of a deal in politics until, I don't know, maybe the 70s or so. Like, it wasn't a topic you heard much about. If people needed one, it was an embarrassment, but they went and got one from a doctor that was willing to do it. Is that correct? Or were there some laws?
I think it was as harsh then, if not harsher than now. I think many states outlawed it at a time. I think Roe versus Wade was necessary to sort of universally say this is a right for women. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen American Tragedy or read the book by Theodore Dreiser, but the movie with Shelley Winters and Montgomery Clift is about that very thing. He's an upwardly it's cynical. It's a bad book about capitalism, but he's a poor guy with aspirations, living in high society, and he's gotten a girl pregnant who's in the same economic station as him, and simultaneously fallen in love with a high society girl played by Elizabeth Taylor, I believe, and decides to do away with the woman because, she can't, I don't think she can get an abortion because of the law or in the state they're in. And so he winds up doing away with her to pursue this other life. So there was a time when it was much more difficult than today to get an abortion.
Yeah. And that's where you hear about the back alley abortions and all of that. Okay, well, so I'm glad you're here, so I'm not spreading misinformation. So it became a hot button issue that is still waging. The battle is still waging, and I think with the uprise of Christianity in the country, I think I'm grappling at is that like religion in America was not on the forefront maybe a half century ago the way it is now. The way it's become. Like religion was, it's just, people were generally Christian in America. They went to church and all that, but it wasn't like it is today where you have like these big movements of evangelicals saying this is a Christian nation. And, the Judeo-Christian values of this country are the foundation of it all. And like that abortion law should reflect that. It seems like there's been a change in my reading of history. Whereas, the founding fathers of America famously did not even include the word God in the Constitution. And when asked why, I think it was Hamilton who proudly exclaimed, "We forgot." Marilyn with $2 says, "Personal context makes a huge difference." And Allie Beard with $2 says, "Do you think Roe v. Wade could be revoked?"
Maybe. I think the argument that conservatives use is that it invokes a right that doesn't exist in the Constitution, and their idea is that most conservatives believe that the responsibility isn't a federal one, but it should devolve to the states, and the states should make up their minds about it. Of course, we think it's an individual issue, and no state should really ban something like this, but this is the world in which we live.
This is the world we live in, and these are something we were given, as Genesis put it.
Well, you're living in a state right now that has an extremely intense abortion law, right? And anti-abortion law. And
yeah.
One of the reasons I decided not to go to Texas was because of that law.
You're like voting with your feet, even though you're probably unlikely to face the choice at this stage. If I find myself in a situation where I need to make that choice, and if I opt for an abortion with, the lucky lady, we would have the means to get out of Texas, whereas a lot of people would not have the means, and those people are being horribly oppressed. It's absolutely outrageous. I mean, just the thought. So okay, you asked you said something like you don't know how to reach these quote pro-life people.
I prefer to call them anti-abortion.
Anti-abortionists, yeah, absolutely. Theocrats might be not quite a smear.
There's a lot of secular ones too, though. There's a lot of secular ones.
Interesting. I'm not aware of that so much. Are they? Where do I find these? Or can you think of some of them?
Well, they're coming to me like white on rice on social media. Lots of libertarians who I think are atheists, but nonetheless have this anti-abortion stance.
Yeah,
and it doesn't come from the fact that they think a soul is in the person. They just think that it's a human from conception because it has the blueprint, the human blueprint in it.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me. What you can find in the libertarian camp ranges from people who think it's okay to starve a living baby to people who don't want a woman to be able to abort a new fetus, and people who don't believe in any government yet support actual dictators. You get like every freaking variant in that camp. Right. So I would say like the way to reach people is through their values. I mean, they need to be selfish. I always say this, people need to want more out of life. So if people believe in a world where values can be achieved, if they feel they have efficaciousness, if they want a good life, then I think you'll see mysticism making way for reason. You'll see selfishness being embraced in some way or in some form or another, and something like abortion will be properly seen as as something that has to do with a woman as well as maybe a man's choice to live a good life. But as long as people believe in duty, like a morality of duty, as long as they see either the family or the community or the country as being their primary calling to serve, then or God as something they're supposed to serve above their own interests, then you're going to see things like abortion being railed against, because the right to abortion goes hand in hand with making choices for the life that you want.
Amen.
Amen, brother. All right, Phil.
Seems clear to me.
Yeah. Phil with 5 pounds says, come on, guys. I meant the potential of the Supreme Court to further subjugate women as a misintegration. Like, okay, I guess I can see why that seemed obvious, but I didn't quite make that connection. The potential of the Supreme Court to further subjugate women as a misintegration. Okay. Allie with $2 says you can't reach people in a GOP-run Bible Belt South. Yeah, the only way people in the Bible Belt, as well as the Rust Belt, as well as the rest of all the other belts, is the Borscht Belt, for instance, is if they want to live a good life. And, you know, the internet, the magic coming out of Silicon Valley has the potential to inspire. Ayn Rand's books have the potential to inspire. People in every corner of America, as well as the world, have the opportunity to be inspired and to realize that, you know, life can be good. It's your life, so live it. But until people are feeling that rationally selfish, I think you're going to see things like abortion not being supported. I'm sorry to say. So
yes, we need a philosophical revolution, don't we? And an ethical revolution where people think their lives are worth living.
Yeah, their lives are worth living. Values are everywhere in objectivism, and values are what need to be sort of the sort of bridge between us and the anti-abortionists. I think values are how to reach them. So we cannot win this debate by shaming that, shaming that they deserve to be shamed, the anti-abortionists, but we cannot convince them that way. We cannot insult them. We need to inspire people everywhere to want a better life, to want a good life, to want all that life has to offer. And I think with that, we'll see the changes that we wish to see in the world. And those are my thoughts. I don't see any other super chats. I know we're only 22 minutes in, but technically this is like a 22-minute show in its inception. I am very tired. We've definitely covered a lot of this. I guess I'll just mention anyone who's sexually active usually at one point or another has a pregnancy scare. And I don't think if any of you who are in that situation want to have a kid, in most cases. There are cases where there's sort of a happy accident, like you're married, whatever, you already have kids, you wouldn't mind another one, or you're madly in love with somebody and you're planning on having kids at some point, and then there's a pregnancy and you go, F it, let's do this. But in most cases, a pregnancy scare or an accidental pregnancy is something you really hope will go away, or you decide to make go away. And what's the anti-abortionist solution to this? What, like that nobody have sex ever until they're ready to have kids? So men should not.
Some of them are raging online exactly along those lines. Hey, you have sex.
Yeah.
These are the consequences of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So sex to them is only for procreation, and
or if it carries the risk of procreation, then you have to live with that. It's a given, and now it's your responsibility to pick up the reins. Mm-hmm. We disagree. What can I say?
And I've always said, and I mean, this is not my original thought. I remember Adam Carolla, the radio legend, was saying this back in the late 90s. If the anti-abortionists really wanted to prevent abortion, they'd be handing out the morning after pill. They'd be handing out birth control everywhere. They'd be encouraging birth control and the morning after pill. The morning after pill, contrary to widespread belief, it prevents conception. It actually stops the sperm on its way to impregnate the woman. So, but even putting aside the morning after pill, the anti-abortionists should be encouraging birth control. They should be encouraging some form of birth control. But obviously we don't see that. What we see is finger wagging, and what they're opposed to is the recreational sex that people are having.
They're opposed to joy, happiness, human fulfillment.
Yeah,
that sucks, man. What a terrible worldview to have.
Yeah, it's envy. It's envy. It's like I think I've heard Antiabortionists call it nihilistic, which is not a word often ascribed to the right and conservatives, but it does seem like they're basically at war with people living a good life on Earth. So, I mean, what other word would you use to describe that? Robert Naser with $5 says Roe v. Wade will be replaced by legislation that is stronger, better. The worrying question is, how long will it take? Okay, well, there's an element of optimism there that Roe v. Wade will be replaced by legislation. Will it be at the federal level?
Yeah, but Robert, do you think that's going to be so? I mean, they're expecting a big red wave in 2024, and I don't know. I don't know that there would be the political will in that case to turn this situation around.
Yeah, so this is a political issue, obviously, that we're discussing here today, and I've had optimism for the last couple years. I think the 2020 election showed us that people are rejecting the populism of Trump and they're rejecting the kookery of AOC. They really are reaching for the center, in my opinion. I think what they think is the center. And I think history shows that, like, people who call themselves Bolsheviks, people who see themselves as the voices of the masses often are not. And I think Trump tried to be like the voice of every man. But if you paid attention during the primaries when Trump first ran, so many people went out and registered as Republicans, or people who normally wouldn't even voted to keep Trump from being the nominee. And he would not have been the nominee if people like Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz had dropped out earlier. Basically, the other Republicans canceled each other out so that Trump got the most primary votes, which is, how it works. Similarly, in the 2020 election, a lot of people voted against Trump. They were not passionate about Biden or anything. They just really wanted Trump out. And otherwise, I think Republicans swept. Did they not in 2020? So Republicans did fine, but for the presidency, if I recall 2020 correctly. So people really, they don't want this populist mishigas, and they don't want the AOC, lunacy that's coming on the fringy left. So there is a cause for optimism. I think when it comes to abortion, there is also cause for optimism as well. As religious of a country as America has become in recent decades, I think a lot of people strongly want the right to abortion to remain on the books. So there is cause for optimism. That's what I think.
I hope you're right. It's immune to reason, this argument. So I hope that you're right. The majority of people do want that. It's easy for us to say that the majority of people want what we think is right because we think it's right, but that may not be true at all.
No, they don't want exactly what we want, but we do see a lot of uproar at something like this. That's why, as James Valiant told me yesterday, it's rumored or it's speculated that the leak from the Supreme Court was done by a pro-abortion clerk who wanted many voters to be outraged and, go out and vote in the midterms. So I think a lot of people feel strongly about this.
So now I just feel like a tool. Now I feel like, they're just trying to keep the big red wave from happening.
Why do you feel like a tool? No, I don't know.
Because if they leak this information, it's like I get the sense that they're doing it to get people out to vote against the big red wave that's coming. So yeah, Biden's policies aren't turning the country around. People are disillusioned by him, and they're disillusioned by his entire administration, and are looking for, here comes Amanda, and are looking for a way out through Republicans, so the Republicans think. And this, if this was deliberately leaked to manipulate the voters into voting a different way, then I feel like a bit of a tool.
You mean, like a tool that people use?
Tool, yes.
Because that word is used as an insult. Like, I'm such a tool right now. Like, I feel like I'm such an idiot. But no,
like Wesley Crusher is a tool.
Yeah, like I think not Captain, number one, the guy, the bearded
Riker?
Riker
You
is
think-
more of a he's more of a douche, I suppose.
Okay.
He looks like it anyway.
What are you talking about?
Wesley Crusher from Star Trek, he's a tool.
Wesley
It's like-
Crusher.
You think he's a tool bag? He looks like a nice guy. He's like a nice kid.
Yeah, no,
He's a sweetheart.
It's very
There are worse tools on Star Trek, I think.
This isn't the classic Star Trek. What are you talking about?
No, the Next Generation, of
It's
course.
with the Captain
I
Picard.
don't know what that is.
Really?
No, man.
You're like a purist?
I'm a purist, Captain Kirk guy all the way.
Wow. Oh,
Captain
come
Kirk
on.
is awesome. It's okay.
The
You can
Next
get Kirk.
Generation definitely it earned its place in canon, I think. A lot. I mean, but hey, I can't argue about
So
this.
are you saying that this leak thing is like, that's the biggest question that I had, because I was and I just missed all the super important things that you just said, but so I don't read the news at all, and like I kind of get it in little snatches, and then I saw this story and I was like, well, really, is that real? Is that real? And then I thought, oh no, I'm gonna have to read up about abortion again and figure out like how to talk about it and what to say. And that was my biggest question. Is this shit for real? What's happening?
What is happening? What is happening is we got a super chat from Allie for $10 saying, somehow I got tagged into one of Mark's arguments, but one of the questions brought up in my notes was, should rights begin at 24 weeks? People start thinking more feelings since they see more of a face than a rice bean. How many months is 24 weeks?
So 20, I don't know, but 24 weeks is like the
viability.
Like babies have survived being born that early. There's a really big chance that something will be permanently wrong with a baby that's born that early. And certainly if you don't have access to a wonderful children's hospital like CHOC, like Children's Hospital Orange County or Children's Hospital LA. And I'm sure there's other ones throughout the country, but if you're not in that kind of a position, and even then, like, there's not good chances the baby will survive, or if it does survive, that there's going to be something wrong with it. No, that's speaking of, like, I don't know. I guess if that happens to you, that's uncool. But
yeah, I don't think. I mean, look, this is a deeply complex issue, to answer when should abortion become illegal, if ever. I tend to think it should remain legal until birth. It's very unlikely anyone would want to get an abortion at the last minute, but if there is reason to, and a doctor is willing to perform it, I think it's still technically the woman's decision. She might be very immoral for doing that.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is like to think about it that way. It doesn't mean that it's the right, that's the right thing to, it might not still not be the right thing to do. It just shouldn't be illegal.
Right.
Like, it's not like some cavalier decision that you take, like, gee, I'm about to have birth in a month. It's, I'm going to abort the fetus. No big deal. Just on the other, like, just like Mark was saying before, like, if you just say to some woman, you're pregnant, so just have the baby, it's just like, just pick the gum wrapper up off the floor and throw it away. It's not like that either. It's a serious life-changing decision, no matter, like, either way. So it's not something that you can approach with some cavalier attitude, but I think, you're right. It's gotta be my choice.
That's not to say that somebody out there wouldn't do that, but it doesn't matter. Rights, rights are sloppy things. I mean, when you have complete sovereignty over your body, your being, you can choose to do things that are immoral. You can choose to drink and be promiscuous or take drugs. None of those things should be illegal. Are they wrong? Sure, they're immoral. But you have a right to do it. And I think the same goes with this case, though people would say you can't compare that kind of action. Those are self-harming actions. And in this case, you're harming another being.
Yeah. I mean, look, nobody's celebrating abortion. I mean, some people do, like, they celebrate the actual act. I celebrate the right to abortion. I respect people who get an abortion when it's the right choice for their life. And I would hope they do it as early as possible and as safely as possible. Look, but yeah, it's a very serious issue. It's not some casual medical procedure. But like legally speaking, I think on the political level, this is not for the government to legislate. I understand that there's some room for debate when it comes to a very late term abortion when the fetus is viable, but the vast majority of abortions are much earlier than that.
But I think since this is a fundamental issue of right, I think it's something that does need to be worked out.
Yeah.
It does need to be legislated. It does need to be worked out in the courts. Unfortunately, given the philosophical influences out there, I don't know that it can. But if it's a litmus test for morality, for someone's values, if it's enough of a litmus test to turn Rand off of Reagan and make the sweeping claim that he doesn't respect rights because he's anti-abortion, I mean, this is something that needs to be potentially enshrined in the Constitution. When do we define rights as being instantiated in people? When does this phenomenon occur? We say at birth, because it's a very easy to perceive line of demarcation, right? But
right.
Others are saying no.
I don't know, Rucka, what do you think? Like, really, you shouldn't celebrate? That seems wrong too. Like, it is a good thing. I think we don't celebrate because it's like, oh, it's so taboo. We're not supposed to even talk about it. So, but if it is genuinely a good thing to have an abortion, then it's like, it's a good thing. It seems worthy of being happy and proud, and like I made the right decision, and it's a good thing. And I mean, I don't know about like having a birthday party or like a party about it, but it is worth celebrating.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe you're right. I mean, if you're the one who had an accidental pregnancy and then you abort it, I suppose I definitely would be popping bottles, having gotten out of that pickle. But yeah, I mean, it's a heavy decision for a lot of people. Is the point I'm making?
You sound like my grandfather. You got yourself in a pickle, dear.
Well, if your grandfather was more pro-abortion, maybe the culture wouldn't be facing this right now. Now, by the way, in Allie's super chat that she sent, she mentioned like people's feelings change when they see more of a face than a rice bean. Everyone, Google image the fetus of any mammal you want. Dog, elephant, just look up dog fetus.
Horse fetuses are really cool, interesting to look at too.
But some of the picture results you'll see is before they get the recognizable features, they all look like humans. Okay. Once upon a time, all fetuses basically look the same, a big head with eyes. And you can say, oh, look at that cute little baby. It's not a baby. It's actually an elephant. And it's an animal that you ate for dinner last night. So please, can we cut the crap with look at the picture of the cute little fetus? It's a picture is not an argument. I came up with that. I'm kidding. I did not come up with that. All right.
No, they're so clever.
Thank you.
You should make a whole Ford Hall forum talk about it.
Good idea. You're on to something. Bonnie with $5 says, reach them through art. It shows what man can be and therefore what he is. That's the knowledge we need to understand rights. Yeah, politics is, a derivative branch of philosophy. It's actually the easiest thing to change people's minds about, in my opinion. So you change their worldview of ethics, of reason, the nature of the universe and all of that. You change the way they think of those things, and then politics becomes a rather easy debate, I think.
I think
I spaced out there a little bit.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
You didn't hear a word you said.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm being honest. Like you were.
Why are you guys all spacey? I'm in Paris. I just flew here a couple of days ago. I'm the one with the jet lag. What is going on here?
I have crazy sleep patterns. Maybe I'm concerned with the rights of women or something, but like sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and usually I fall back asleep. But this time I've been up since like 3:30 a.m. So it's like, it was too early to say like, oh, I woke up early today. It's like, no, I woke up in the middle of the night and have been awake since then. It's weird.
Yeah, that happened to me the night before last. But today I woke up at 5 a.m. and then went back to sleep until like 11. I never sleep in that late, but I did. So
You should get a job driving a trash truck, Rucka, because like that's the time you got to get up to drive the trash truck, right? 3:30 is good
wouldn't that
time.
be fun, Rucka?
Sounds about right.
Sounds like
Am I having fun?
No,
Fun job.
wouldn't that be fun? Driving a trash truck?
Some people consider us
Oh, yeah.
podcasters and entertainers to be actual garbage people with the service we provide, but I don't see.
I like that you said garbage people. It's very good.
Well, garbage man, right? You call it, hey, here comes the garbage man.
No, it's here comes the garbage person. Oh, and by the way, you don't ever want to be called a person. That's not a good thing. It's like, you're a person of interest? That means that like you probably might have committed a crime. You don't want to be a person. You want to be a people. It's better.
Yeah, true.
Okay, I never thought of that before.
Marilyn with 99 cents and a sad face. See what you've all done to Marilyn with your anti-abortion shenanigans?
I'm sorry.
No, not you. I mean, like, I'm talking to society right now.
Oh,
like,
society made the face sad. Okay.
I mean, we've got to protect Marilyn's right to an abortion. All right. Well, I think we've covered quite a lot today. Amanda, glad you could join us twice. Hope it was important.
Yeah, I was gonna make an abortion joke. Like maybe I just had to go run out and get myself an abortion, and then I came back. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it was important. Serious stuff happened.
So in conclusion today, I would say everyone, every step of the way, every argument that comes up, think of it in positive terms rather than negative. This is all about if a rational, moral person wants to live a good life, what is required for that person to do that? Not, which one will do less damage and which type of necessary evil is better to stomach. That's
and I want to say that too. I don't know if there are any women listening to this or people like women that have had to have want to have an abortion or had an abortion, that it is perceived as like, oh, you dodged a bullet, right? And it's like the removal of a threat, but that is not a value-oriented context. And if that's all the better that you view an abortion as is like, oh, I feel such a sense of relief that I'm no longer in this situation. That's not a good place to be. Psychologically, it's you want to orient yourself towards your values. It's like, oh, I get to go to college now and I've taken control of my life and I have the ability to take control of my life and whatever positive thing that you're seeking, that's the thing that you need to have in mind. And it's not just some like threat has been taken away.
Yeah, like let me give another example of a positive spin, like a positive argument rather than running away from a negative. So people say abortion should remain legal because let's say you decided to keep the baby and then carry the fetus to term, and then an emergency happens, right? Like the baby's father dies or there's a catastrophe. So like all these negative things might happen. So you should still have the right to abort. Very negative and bleak argument.
Yeah, or it's like, what if you were raped and then like?
Okay, no, yeah, but I'm saying,
and like, and then you had to have the baby, but it's all negative, like you're saying. It's not like
it's all negative. Yeah, incest, rape, or emergencies, right? Something changed. The husband died, and now. But I would say, or how about this? But here's a positive argument. How about you get pregnant, you decide to keep it, and then the opportunity of a lifetime comes along, and you make a decision. Suppose young Mark Pellegrino. Can either get an abortion with his partner or get his big break in acting. And it's one or the other for some reason. What's it going to be? Right. What if Pellegrino dreams of someday moving from from Van Nuys over to Hollywood and chase his dream?
And it's only an abortion that stands in his way.
Well, how's he ever going to get out of Van Nuys and over to his audition if he's got a baby to take care of? All right. So think of it that way. An opportunity can come along and then a woman and her partner wants to take that opportunity.
That picture isn't positive. You're not painting positive pictures for me.
No, yeah, it's like it really is. It's about your life and the control of your destiny. And as a woman, you didn't always have that option. You couldn't even, you know, like as a scientist, it's like they didn't even let people graduate with, like, women graduate with a math degree not too long ago because it was a man's thing to do. And think about it now, you get to control what happens to your own body. I mean, yeah, it should obviously be a given, but it's an amazing thing, and it should give you an amazing sense of control over who you are, the trajectory of your life. That's a huge positive thing, and don't lose sight of that. Even though everyone around you is saying, "Oh, you dodged the bullet," grandfather's saying, "You got yourself in a pickle, dear. How are you going to get yourself out of this horrible situation?" It's your life. Take control of it. It's 100% filled with light.
Absolutely
right.
right.
And I think Rucka was saying that that's what you celebrate. You celebrate the right to it. But I think the procedure itself is invasive and tough to deal with, and
yeah, for sure.
And it doesn't leave you without physical repercussions. So I think celebrating dodging a bullet is somewhat appropriate. It's still leaning towards life and embracing values. But it's a serious decision with physical consequences, and I don't know anybody who has approached it like, you know, drinking champagne at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah. Even if it's a very unpleasant procedure, the right to have it and the necessity being met is to be celebrated. You know, and in many cultures, past and present, if a woman is raped, she's punished for that, or in many cultures, they certainly won't investigate to go punish the rapist. The fact that a woman is going to be inspected, prodded, and made very uncomfortable in order to collect DNA from her body in a culture such as this one is to be celebrated, despite how unpleasant that is. I hope you see the parallel. Your face is always so confused when I talk.
Me?
Yeah.
No, me too. I
Both
spaced
of you.
out again. I'm sorry.
All right. Oh, that's better than.
Wait a minute. Sorry, I checked out. I didn't hear
Yeah,
anything.
nobody heard that.
No.
Okay. Yeah. So don't. Yeah, it's a serious. It's a serious thing. But like, I think we need to start talking about it, though. As a culture, seems like we need to do that. Let's do that.
Yeah. Let's start talking about abortion.
It's okay
in
to talk
society.
about it.
Yeah. Robert with a smiley face. Thank you for that. Allie with $2 says, Rucka, you be with your own people at least. Winky face. I think referring to the garbage people thing. Oh, that's very nice of you. We had an episode about the art of the pickup and pickup artists. I think they would refer to that as a negative, when you try to undermine somebody's confidence in order to flirt with them and succeed at attaining their.
Yeah, but garbage people, they pick up trash. It's a good thing. So
yeah, look, we act like janitors and garbage collectors are disgraceful or something. Where would we be without them?
Awesome. Think about how much fun it is to confidently swing onto the back of the truck. That looks like so just deliciously fun.
Yeah, not every kid, but a lot of kids, they think it's a cool job. I thought it was a cool job. I was like, I can get paid how much? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Marilyn with $5 says the sad face was for my lack of sleep. She goes on, I'm 68. Won't need an abortion anytime soon. Well, maybe retroactively, I suppose. Yeah, anyway, but thank you for supporting your sisters and daughters, to put it that way.
And men too. It's a man thing too.
I've always said this. I'm even surprised.
Totally a man thing.
It is, believe me, a man's is very much affected by a woman's pregnancy. I understand a man is not the one carrying it, but I mean, it's not like it doesn't affect the possible prospective father, right? It's a huge it's a horribly unexpected thing to learn about. All right. With that, I suppose we can call it a wrap. Thank you both for this lovely discussion, a friendly abortion discussion. And the laughter reminds me that we're alive and we're able to live this joyful, luxurious life because nobody forced us to be treated like cattle for the breeding.
Thank you.
Oh.
Way to go. That's the way to end this one.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Coming up today at 10 p.m. UK time, it's Life on Earth with Robert and Amy Nasser. And the subject is ends, means, sex, and Roe v. Wade. And with that,
more abortion talk coming up.
And lots more of that. And then see you back here tomorrow for Philosophy Friday on the Daily Objective. And goodbye.
Scene.